Read-aloud, Volume 3, Chapter 3, Part 2. The Meaning of Courage. So, it's that time again, Biko. Those were the first words out of his mouth when he pushed open the door and entered the archive of forbidden books. His grand and very pushy entrance made Beatrice sitting on a footstool as she read a book slump her shoulders.
Really? How do you breach the passage with such ease?
Intuition. It's all intuition. I've got a sixth sense about these things. Beatrice wore a very sour face as Subaru approached, and she abruptly narrowed her eyes. No doubt because she noticed the seriousness in Subaru's.
Another half a day and you have yet a different expression. I suppose you are a busy sort?
Hey, I want to take it easy too, but the world's enough of a mess that it's not exactly giving me the chance. Subaru, an ordinary person, had been buffeted by one problem arising after another, but he was confident that, at long last, he was catching up to the problems, instead of them purely catching up to him. I want you to check something for me, so I finished cleaning the bath in record time.
If cleaning the bath came first, surely it is no great affair?
This applied to Subaru as well, but time in the bath was one of the few respites in a world of few pastimes. Just thinking of Rem's reaction if she found out he'd slacked off in cleaning that place of rest was enough to give him chills. After all, Subaru getting along with her big sister had put his friendship rating with Rem in the dumps. Even if it located the shaman, poor relations with Rem meant Subaru couldn't escape a bad end. Having to advance along both routes simultaneously made Subaru feel like he was walking a tightrope. If it was just a problem of which girl to get lovey-dovey with, I'd be real happy, but...
Are you wandering off topic again, I wonder? What did you want of me, then?
Yeah, about that. Subaru sank in thought in front of Beatrice, who at least seemed tentatively willing to hear him out. After hesitating about how to put it exactly, he nodded once. I think there's a little curse on me. Can you check?
What are you saying, I wonder?
I think there's a little curse on me. Can you check?
I did not tell you to repeat yourself. Has it been even half a day since we spoke about shamans in detail, I wonder? Even gullibility has its limits.
Beatrice stormed over and yelled, probably thinking Subaru had some sort of persecution complex. But her expression changed midway to one of surprise. She looked up at Subaru as if some doubt had just been answered.
I sense a curse, right? You truly have been cursed.
Seriously? I mean, I figured as much, but having it actually said out loud is still kind of a shock. The whole point of the decoy operation was to get cursed, but it was still a jolt to know that he really had been. What brought a pall over his face was not only fear, but his own thoughts. In other words, the fact that one of those light-hearted villagers had been an assassin. Do you know what kind of curse it is?
I can say nothing from merely seeing the right, but as we discussed, the odds are extremely strong that it is a curse to take your life.
Subaru calmly accepted Beatrice's statement when she looked up at him with a blink in her large eyes in apparent surprise.
You do not look like you think dying is a frightening thing, you know?
Huh? What a stupid thing to say. I'm super scared of dying. There's nothing more frightening in this world than death. People who say there's worse stuff than dying should say that after they've tried death once or twice. It was the one unshakable truth Subaru learned from that world. Death was absolute. He could not abide it being treated lightly, nor could he stand comparing death to other things by those who had not experienced it. After all, Subaru having experienced death multiple times, had returned to the world to start over because he had himself tasted despair worse than death. That's why I'm going to get through it this time, fate. If there was indeed a deity that governed fate, Subaru had just declared war upon him. Subarunovsky would snatch back his happy ending to make up for the agonizing times he had suffered. Having finished his rant at the supernatural being, Subaru turned back to Beatrice. So, could you lift that little curse for me? I'm short on time here. But at the very moment Subaru was burning from the chance to strike the perpetrator when least expected, the girl who should have been his greatest ally cut him off at his knees.
Why do I have to save your life, I wonder?
Subaru scratched his head as he replied, I thought you might say something uncute like that, so I came beforehand with a way to convince you. If I die, it'll make Puck sad, too.
Would Pucky's heart be greatly moved by your demise, I wonder?
No. If I die, it'd be a pretty huge shock to Amelia. If it's a shock to Amelia, that'll hurt Puck, too. And especially you, the one who could have stopped it beforehand.
You were completely touched in the head, unable to distinguish begging for your life from using it as a threat.
Beatrice stomped on the floor, but apparently a rebuttal to Subaru's declaration was not forthcoming. She sighed in annoyance and gave him a reluctant look as she beckoned him with a hand.
I suppose I shall yield. However, do not bother me any further. Ever.
To be honest, I can't promise you that, either. If I'm in trouble, I'll be back to ask for your help. I'll pick the scraps from your table if I have to.
Are you even aware that I am saving your life, I wonder?
I'm super aware that I'm annoying you with weakling logic. Sorry. When Subaru bowed his head in apology, Beatrice shook her head with a look of annoyance. After that, her palm glowed with a white light, which she gently touched to Subaru's body.
I shall now destroy the curse rite. Bear in mind that it is implanted in the place where the shaman touches your body directly.
Sure, don't worry. I'm all set. Subaru checked his own body as he felt the light in her palm convey its warmth. He'd kept track of where the suspects in the village had touched him. Only the granny searching for her lost youth had touched his butt. So, if Beatrice moved her hand to his butt, he'd know that the granny was the perpetrator. He'd also complained to Beatrice about sexual harassment. Eh? But the place Beatrice's palm touched was completely at odds with Subaru's expectations. He'd felt a whirling heat where the white glow leaped from her palm into his flesh. There was an itchy feeling where she had touched, but it seemed to ooze right out of his body as a black cloud. The light in Beatrice's hand directly caught hold of the black fog that had been the curse. The itchiness vanished as Subaru shuddered from the wriggling cloud having been inside his own body. Then,
must you be so abominable, I wonder?
Beatrice crushed it in her hand before it vanished, and shook her head as if having touched something icky. Realizing Subaru had gone silent, she harumphed.
It is done. I suppose you will be fine now?
When she said, "It is done," Subaru realized that he'd stopped breathing. He rued his timid heart, but a more pressing concern came to mind. Hey, Biko.
Would you stop addressing me that way already?
Is the place you touched with your palm the place the shaman touched me? Faced with Subaru's grave question, Beatrice set her own complaints aside and reluctantly nodded. Her nod affirmed in Subaru's mind the perpetrator behind the string of curses. I've got to go to the village. Now that he knew the culprit's identity, he had no choice but to act immediately. He had originally planned to wait until the next day, go to the village with Roswell and the twins, flush the shaman in the village out of hiding, and deal with them. But he couldn't do that now. Subaru's heart continued to race as he rushed to put his hand on the door. His breath was so ragged as he ran that he didn't even hear Beecher's call out for him to stop. Fate's irrationality and poor taste in irony, dangling Subaru and the others on a string, filled with rage. That anger gripped Subaru as he ran, yelling at the top of his lungs. Just how far are you going to take playing me for a fool? He kept running. Subaru dashed through the hallway, leaped down the stairs, flipped around at the landing of the stairs, the heels of his shoes sliding to a stop at the entry hall as he raised his face and yelled out, Rem, I've got to talk to you. Rem immediately popped into view, responding to the shout that probably carried throughout the entire mansion. Apparently, she'd been working quite close by. She looked at Subaru's red face and ragged breath with her eyes narrowed in disapproval at the impropriety. What is it, Barasu? Your haste is quite unsightly. Sorry, I'm heading to the village. You can't stop me. I'll go even if you try. I just thought I'd throw everyone off even worse if I left without a word. The village? Why would you... No, more importantly, do you intend to disregard Master Roswell's instructions? Tonight, Rem and I are in charge of this mansion. Surely you understand this? Ram glared at Subaru even more sharply. Ram's position was that whatever Roswell wanted came first. Subaru's open disregard for her master's command really rubbed her the wrong way. But Subaru wasn't minded to retreat an inch even so. Time's short, so I'll get right to the point. There's a bad magic user in Roham Village. I know who it is, so I have to go now. You ask me to accept what sounds like a child's made-up excuse? I can't help it. There's no other way to put it here. Go talk to Biko, and you'll see I'm telling the truth. Besides, as he pleaded with the increasingly suspicious Ram, the great doors opened beside him as Rem emerged. Sister? When Rem saw the two speaking in the entry hall, she went to her sister's side like it was second nature. Sister, what is... He says he is headed out to rid us of an evil magic user in the village. Rem bluntly conveyed Subaru's statement to Rem for him. Hearing it put that way, even Subaru thought it sounded like pure fiction. Apparently, that was Rem's conclusion, too. Sister, Subaru's joke is not very funny. Rem, Barasu thinks he has a future in comedy. Rem, I may kid around all the time, but I talk seriously sometimes, too. Faced with their twin act lines, Subaru spoke to both at once. He took a step forwards as if to emphasize that he wasn't cowed by the sister's reactions. I know it's an unbelievable story, and it's asking too much for you to just take my word for it right now, but I'm not asking you to let me go without any conditions. To Subaru, this was a crucial fork in the road. Subaru wet his lips with his tongue, shoving a finger toward the silent pair as he made his proposal. I'm going to the village. If you think that's suspicious, fine, tag along. Watch me and see. But I'm not going with Amelia left all alone, so it has to be just one of you. You cannot simply go off on your own. In the first place, neither sister nor I have any reason to go with you if we are to uphold Master Roswell's command. No, you don't. If Roswell's command in the evening is the only one you're upholding, are those the only orders Roswell gave about me? Rem was at a loss for words. Subaru's statement a moment before had been a mere bluff, but her uncomfortable reaction made it plain he'd hit the mark. Piercing through info from the previous loops, Subaru had guessed that Roswell had ordered the pair to keep an eye on him. Rem looked like she was searching for an escape route, but Ram beat her to the punch, exhaling. Understood, Barasu. We will accept your independent action. Sister? Rem was in utter shock at seeing her sister wave a white flag so easily, but Ram indicated to her little sister to keep quiet. However, just as you said, we cannot allow you to go alone, Barasu. Allowing you to act alone here would in itself disregard Master Roswell's commands. I figured as much, so what's our compromise going to be? Though it pains me, we have no choice but to go along with your prior suggestion. Rem will accompany you. Ask and ye shall receive, I guess. Subaru thrust out a clenched fist to show his agreement with Ram's terms. Ram sighed a little as she turned to her little sister, showing Subaru. Ram, this is how it is, so, please. I shall confirm matters with Lady Beatrice and protect Lady Amelia myself. I shall be watching you from here. Sister, you must not use that eye too often. This is no time to say that. I will use it if I need to. The same goes for you, Rem. The way the older sister put it left no room for Rem to question any further. Subaru was glancing toward their conversation, understood by only the two sisters, when Rem shifted an unfriendly glance at him. Subaru, I would like to hear the details. I'll tell you on the way. Things might have already gotten pretty bad, though. If Subaru's worst premonition proved true, there'd be damage that simply couldn't be laughed off. Not to Subaru personally, but in a much larger sense. He gave Ram's shoulder a light, graceful pat as he headed to the entrance with Rem, who still didn't look on board. He was figuring it was 15 minutes to the village if they ran straight there, when... Subaru? Where are you going? A voice clear as a bell danced down from above the great stairway of the entry hall. Turning around without a thought, he looked up to see Amelia standing there, her silver hair swaying. Judging from her heavy breaths, she'd heard Subaru's earlier shout and had come over to see the three of them below. I thought I'd come down because I heard a loud voice earlier. Did something happen? Something might have happened. You don't need to worry. I'll be happy if you worry a little bit. Subaru was behaving casually on purpose so as not to make Amelia too anxious. Though Subaru was acting in his usual light-hearted fashion, Amelia seemed to pick up on something. Your face says you're going to do something dangerous again. Amelia had a sullen look about her as she saw right through him. Subaru wailed inside at how his grand act had been so easily foiled as he covered his face with his palms. That's what we were arguing about just now. We finally got everything cleared up, so... There's no point in trying to stop you, is there? Well, not really. And if you succeed, it'll only make things worse. Yes, I understand. I won't stop you. Amelia walked down the stairs, stopping just in front of Subaru and placing her hands on her hips. Subaru was unable to look away from her glimmering violet eyes. With Subaru unable to move, Amelia reached out and gently touched his chest. Even if I tell you not to be reckless or careless, you probably will anyway, won't you? If that's what it takes. Not that I want to do either, mind you. Whether it was achievable or not, the best thing would be to travel a path free of worry and strife. If, instead, Subaru was the only one who could change the situation, he had to act, even if it was recklessly. He wondered where he picked up such a troublesome personality. Probably has something to do with the girl I'm staring at right now, he thought with a strange smile. Amelia was still touching his chest as she murmured, May the grace of the spirits be with you. What was that? Subaru tried to decipher the expression without success. Amelia shot him a broad smile. Words you say when you see someone off. They mean, come back safely. Ah, I see. Got it, Amelia-tan. So when I come back safe and sound, You'll gently hug me to your chest like a baby chick, right?
Yes, yes.
Letting Subaru's desire for cuddling slide off her, Amelia shifted her gaze to include Rem. Rem, who'd been silently watching the exchange, straightened her back in response.
Be careful, Rem. Also, make sure Subaru doesn't do anything rash. Yes, Lady Amelia, as you wish.
Seeing Rem grab the hem of her skirt and make a polite bow, Amelia nodded to her in satisfaction. Subaru waved. Well, Amelia-tan, I'm heading off. Amelia's voice had given him words of encouragement to see him on his way.
Come back soon.
He pushed the doors of the entrance open and began to run toward the village side by side with Rem as the remaining two watched them go.
So, I would like to hear the details now.
There's a shaman in the village to herd Amelia's royal selection. He cursed me good, but Beatrice removed it. If we don't act now, the whole village could get wiped out. Even while running, Ren's breath caught, her eyes going wide as she asked,
Are you serious?
Subaru replied with a silent nod as he focused his energy on getting to the village. He wouldn't have to imagine a shaman with human intelligence taking such a measure. But if Subaru's deduction was correct, he had to assume the worst. And so, Subaru ran onward. Rem continued to silently sprint by his side, as yet unaware of the gravity of the situation.